Hey everybody. So I was really trying to figure out what I should post about in the coming days as far as cookbooks are concerned. There's so many good ones to choose from, obviously, and at the same time I wanted kind of a theme, and I was kind of tempted to actually go in with like the Palestinian or Persian or something like that, and then I decided I'm not really comfortable with that because we all have our opinions, and I want to talk about cookbooks, not politics. So I thought instead I would go with Chez Panisse alums. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure all of you have heard of Chez Panisse. It's been around for, oh my gosh, I've lost track now. 50 years, so a little over 50 years, I believe. And Alice Waters, the iconic Alice Waters, has published many cookbooks, and I own most of them. And I've eaten in a restaurant, and it's a wonderful experience. But what I really wanted to talk about is the alums, which it's shocking to me when I start looking at the number of household names, at least household names to food people, have come out of Chez Panisse. And so I have actually 2 shelves dedicated only to Chez Panisse alums. But then there's others over on the baking section. And so a really quick look around in my library, I found 17 authors, not 17 books, but 17 authors who at one time cooked at Chez Panisse. And each of those authors have produced at least one book, but many of them have done more than one. So in no particular order, I just decided to start with 2 books by the same author that I absolutely love, and I could say it again, love. So with no further ado, they are both going to be by Paul Bertoli. So this is the first one, Chez Panisse Cooking. And yes, Alice had a part in it, but it's pretty much Paul Bertoli. I own 3 copies of this book. And if you count my husband's copy, that means we have 4 copies of this same book. No, change that. 3 copies of the same book. The reason being that this beautiful, incredible copy here, this is the original. And by the time I found this book, or a copy of this book in the Boulder Library way back in the day, it had already gone out of print. And so I searched high and low. This is pre-internet where you could just get anything you wanted. I searched and never found it. And then one day when I happened to be in Santa Fe, of all places, I walked into a bookstore and found that they had re-released it in paperback. You can imagine how much I squealed. Okay. But I've never been willing to give up my paperback, even though years later I found the prime copy. The prime copy is so beautiful that it never goes into the kitchen. It is so beautiful that even pulling it out today, I was stunned at how crisp it is. I'm not really one on a lot of pictures for books, but the photography for this book is just plain art. Like, they are painted photographs, and they are just stunning, which of course is not the point of the book. The point of the book is that it's amazing. This one goes into the kitchen all the time, and it has gone on plane trips with me. It's gone everywhere because I treat it as a textbook, and so whenever I have time, I take it. So I can't even really show you the interior of this book because it's falling apart, and it's full of my notes of things that I've made, and it's covered in yellow highlighter and underlining and again, my notes. It's just and little stickies, and so it's just a fabulous book. I was talking to a dear friend of mine recently about the Chez Panisse books, and this one is one I highly recommend. And so if you can get a hold of that, it might feel a little dated at this point, but when I pulled this out today, along with the next Paul Bertolli I'm going to show you, I was just stunned. I was like, I feel like I want to just stop and work my way through these books again. A lot of these recipes I made 2, 3, 4 times, taking notes of how they've changed each time and what I learned from them. So love that. And then, so those 2 books, the original is from 1988. Then Paul Bertolli went out on his own after Chez Panisse, and he did this book, Cooking by Hand, which came out in, let me look at my notes here, 2003. This book, who uses the same photographer as the other book, but is not in color the way the other one is, it's like poetry. And again, for me, it is full of notes, and it is full of highlighting, and it is full of pieces of paper that are like day 1, day 2, day 3. What did I do? I just can't say enough about this book. And it really, it's hard for me to look at it and not just want to go back in the kitchen and start again. The things that I made out of this book were mostly duck, rabbit, chicken, a few sweets, although not much. But I really should dive into his pasta recipes, which are just beautiful and is something he's really known for. Plus, he actually opened a salami, meat, pork business, and I don't think that's around anymore, but there's a lot of that in here as far as that kind of stuff. I personally am not going to be making my own prosciutto, so I've never done it, but I can appreciate reading about it. There's even a love letter in here from him to his newborn son. It's just a really personal work, and I love the chapter on tomatoes. The chapter on tomatoes is actually called, what is it called? 12 Ways of Looking at Tomatoes. And I've worked through a lot of that chapter. Really, making your own tomato paste is the most wonderful thing. And it may seem pointless when there's good tomato paste on the market, but believe me, when you're doing your own tomatoes, it makes a big difference. So, any case, for the next few weeks, I guess, we'll be focusing on Chez Panisse alums. So that means a lot of names you know: Jeremiah Tower, Suzanne Goyne, people you don't necessarily know. There's a lot of them. I'm just in awe that one restaurant could have birthed so many amazing food people, and has really shaped the way that we think of food in this country and beyond. So that's what I have for you today. I'm not sure who's going to be next, but it will be another alum, maybe Deborah Madison or David Tanis, or of course Lindsay Shear, which you can't really call her. She is an alum, but she was also a founding member, so it's hard to call her an alum. But anyway, we shall see. And if you have a chance to dive into some Chez Panisse, let me know what you think. Okay, take care. Bye.